I've got a real soft spot for Pidgey, but that might just be because it rhymes with squidgy. Let's see how this line gets on in its run. The combination of normal and flying type in Generation 2 is incredibly powerful. Farfetch'd and Dodrio before Pidgey have posted some very good times, so there's an awful lot riding on this run. There's going to be a lot of pressure not only on myself but on the Pokemon as well to try and get the best possible time. I'm personally aiming for top 10 in this run. I think it's entirely doable. Anything other than that will be a bonus. And over the course of the next 19 minutes or so, we're going to see exactly how we get on. And now I really hope you can excuse the blatant self-indulgence with this nickname, but I did call Pidgey Squidge, because of course if we're running a Pokemon that has the potential to get a very good time, I need that extra pressure. Now let's take a look at the stats. We're level 5 with 19 HP, we're holding a berry and our two moves are Tackle and Sand Attack. We have 10 in attack, 10 also in defense, we've got 8 in special attack and special defense, and then 11 in speed. So overall, we've got very well-rounded stats. Of course, those stats are going to improve twice across the course of the run, once when we evolve into a Pidgeotto, and then when we evolve into a Pidgeot. Our first wild encounter is a Hoppip, and while we don't have a super effective move, it can do nothing against us, so we knock it out in 2 hits, and now it's time for the first rival battle. There really were no suitable options for the rival. I couldn't give it Chikorita, so I decided to give the rival Totodile. And the only reason for that is even though Sand Attack isn't an attacking move, it's still a ground type move, so I thought get the Pokemon that doesn't have any of the type weaknesses to any moves we learn, whether they attack or not. Anyway, let's now move on to Falkner, our first gym leader, and he's got a Pidgey just like us. Our Pidgey's more than double its level, so it goes down, and here's the under-leveled Pidgeotto. We spam the quick attack, and all it takes is 3 of them to knock out the Pidgeotto. And we earn the Zephyr badge in 6 minutes and 56 seconds. We have done Sprout Tower by this point though, so it's not entirely fair to compare it to some of the other runs. Now in Union Cave, we take on Fire Breather Bill. And against his coughing, we grow to level 18 and we evolve into Pidgeotto. Just in time too for the second gym. This is Bugsy's Bug-type gym, and I'm going to be honest with you, this one's going to be one of the easiest gyms we see in a very long time. We have Gust on the learn set, he's weak to Gust, so it's 1 Gust apiece for his Cocoon Pokemon, and then we do a quick attack and a pair of Gusts to knock out the Scyther. Very easy gym battle in a time of 12 minutes and 57 seconds. Of course, the celebrations can't last for too long with this battle, because we've got the dreaded Rival 2 just around the corner. And even though we don't have anything weak to any of his Pokemon, this could still be a challenge. Let's see how we get on. The first Pokemon out is Ghastly, and we one-shot that with Gust. Up next is Zubat. Supersonic misses for Zubat, and that's the biggest threat gone from this battle. The only Pokemon left is Croconaw. We use Swift against the Croconaw, and it takes 3 of them to knock it out, and we defeat the second rival on our first attempt. Let's now move on to Whitney. She is of course a normal type specialist, but she has that rolling out cow. If we didn't know how to play with Whitney's AI, this would be a very dangerous battle. However, using a Sand Attack against Whitney discourages rollout. That means that she's less likely to use it, she goes for Stomp instead, and that gives us the in to knock her out in 3 shots, and we obtain the Plain Badge in 18 minutes and 55 seconds. We're on a very good pace so far. Let's now move on to the third rival battle. This one's in the Burnt Tower, and he leads with Haunter. We've got Wing Attack by this point, so Haunter is a simple one-shot. We swap to Mud Slap for the Magnemite, and that goes down in 1. We go back to Wing Attack for the Zubat, that's another simple one-shot. And here comes the Croconaw. 2 Wing Attacks is all it takes to knock it out, and we are through the third rival battle in 26 minutes and 42 seconds. Let's now take on Morty. He's our 4th gym leader together. We're holding the Minceberry in preparation for him, and he's going to lead with Ghastly. Now this Ghastly's pretty feeble, so it goes down in 1, and we are on to the Haunter. Haunter's not got the defenses to withstand Wing Attack, and here comes Gengar. It's a 2-shot on Gengar, but he doesn't even bother to hypnotise, so that means we've got the Minceberry for the Chunk battle. We finish off the final Haunter with another Wing Attack, and then we get to evolve. We're level 36 at this point, and we evolve into Pidgeot, and we earn the Fog Badge in a time of 28 minutes and 27 seconds. Let's see what Chuck's got for us. I've got a feeling this one is a foregone conclusion, because of course he is going to be weak to Wing Attack. It's one shot on Primeape and then two shots on Poliwrath with Dynamic Punch missing for us to defeat Chuck without any damage and obtain the Storm Badge in 30 minutes and 25 seconds. Our 6th gym leader is Price. Now he could be dangerous because he's an Ice type specialist, but thank goodness for us, his Ice type Pokemon are a little bit mediocre. One shot on the Seal and the Dugong, Piloswine comes out, and we get it deep into the red. He gets caught in a healing loop and he didn't even try to Blizzard. We knock it out with 2 further returns and we can turn our attention to Jasmine. She's our 7th leader and she could be particularly dangerous. We get to mud slapping the Magnemites, we critical hits the first Magnemite, and in a stroke of huge fortune we get the double crit. We grow to level 42 and we are onto the Steelix. This thing is very dangerous, so we've got to play it smart. We start off with a pair of Mud Slap and then pivot to Hidden Power Ice. Steelix has very poor special defense, and with the way we did it, she didn't heal and we obtained the Mineral Badge on our first try in 38 minutes and 51 seconds. Let's move on to the Underground where Rival 4 is waiting for us. He leads with a Golbat and we get rid of it in a single Hidden Power Ice. We might not have the best special attack in the world, but it's still perfectly serviceable. We one-shot the Magnemite and then we're onto the Haunter. We use Wing Attack against the Haunter to take it down in one hit, and Sneasel comes out and goes away as quickly as it came out, and the final Pokemon is for Alligator. We use the Mud Slap on turn 1 because it's not going to be a one-shot with return. We then swap to return for turn 2 and we defeat the rival in 42 minutes and 53 seconds. Our final Jotonian gym leader is Claire. She's a Dragon-type specialist who leads with 3 Thunder-waving Dragonair. Fortunately for us, at this point return is at its maximum power, so we can just use 3 of those returns to knock out each of them, and we can focus on the Kingdra. Return takes it deep into the red. That was a range, unfortunately, and we didn't quite knock it out in one. It doesn't matter in the end though, because we finish her off with another couple of returns, and we obtain the Rising Badge in 50 minutes and 50 seconds. Goodness me, what a great pace we're on. Let's try and keep it up against the dreaded Rival 5. He's only dreaded in this instance because he's got a Magneton, and Magneton really is our Achilles heel. We use Mud Slap to take it deep into the red, Thunder Wave misses, and we can turn our attention to the Golbat. So we do take a little bit of a rewind there. At this point the nerves were really high. I knew we were on good pace, so I was misclicking all over the place. I managed to regain my focus though for the rest of this battle. We knock out the Haunter and the Kadabra and we are on to the Feraligatr. 2 returns finishes off the rival for yet another run, and we can start making our way into the Pokemon League in a time of 54 minutes and 21 seconds. The first thing we'll do here is heal up our Pidgeot, and now we'll say thank you to the HM friends. So it's thank you to Kenya, to Abra, to Psyduck, and to Paris. You've all been a great help in the Johto region. Get yourself some well-deserved rest. Well, Pidgeot and I take on the Pokemon League. We have our 4 full restores. Now let's take a look at our stats. We're level 53 with 183 HP. We're holding the Never Melt Ice with Return, Mud Slap, Wing Attack and Hidden Power Ice. We've got 130 in attack, 120 in defense, 117 in the specials and 137 in speed. Those, of course, are the out-of-battle stats. We'll get a huge buff in battle, as we'll see now against Will, our first league member who's a Psychic-type specialist who leads with Xatu. Return makes light work of the Xatu as we grow to level 54. Jinx has no defense, so we know that's going to be a one-shot. Here comes Slowbro. Deep into the yellow on turn 1, swearing at us is going to make no difference, and we can turn our attention to Xatu number 2. That goes down straight away, and that just leaves Executor left to go. We don't bother with Wing Attack because that's going to be just as effective as Return at this point. We knock it out in 2 hits and we can move on to Koga. He is of course the Poison type specialist who leads with Ariados. Now leading with Ariados is a bad idea against a Pidgeot, so he tries sending out his Fortress. This could be a dangerous Pokemon, but he goes for Swift instead of Self-Destruct, and that makes the rest of the battle fairly trivial. We Mud Slap the Moat to try and make sure it doesn't hit us with Toxic as it minimalizes. We knock it out in 2, and here comes the Crobat. Crobat gets itself all tied up in a healing loop as we use Wing Attack on turn 1, so that means we just need to land a single return. We land that, it high rolls and it goes down in 1. We also critical hit Return against the Venomoth to knock that out in 1 as well, and we are through Koga in a time of 56 minutes and 18 seconds. Our third league member is Bruno. He's the fighting type specialist who leads with Hitmontop. Hitmontop quick attacks for a little bit of damage, and have you noticed I didn't bother healing between battles? That is how confident I was that Bruno was going to be easy. Let's hope it doesn't bite us in the bum as we take care of the Hitmonchan. Here comes the Machamp. Wing attack takes it deep into the red and Rock Slide barely even tickles us. I think this is a foregone conclusion now. We've only got the Hitmonlee left to go. Wing attack's a simple one-shot, we knock it out. We grow to level 56 and we say goodbye to Bruno and hello to Karen. Karen, of course, is the thorn in the side of many a zero reset run. And it's looking like it's no different here. The Umbreon afflicts us with a Sand Attack and a Confuse Ray. We keep hitting ourselves in confusion and I take a very quick reset. Sometimes it's better to throw in the towel and start again. We get Sand Attacks again this time, but at least we're on full health for the rest of the battle. We miss Wing Attack on turn number 1, so we now are on a clock for the rest of the battle. That doesn't matter too much though, because we still have an awful lot of HP to our name. We can get rid of the Murkrow and the Houndoom in one, and now we've just got to connect our Wing Attack with Vileplume. The Sand Attack was relatively meaningless in this battle, and we get through Karen in a time of 58 minutes on the nose. There's only one thing between us and the Hall of Fame now. It's Lance, the liar with the Flyers, and he leads with Gyarados. Now we have Hidden Power Ice mostly for this Lance battle, because even though our special attack is relatively modest, it's still going to do enough damage against both of the level 47 Dragonite, and once we can get those out of the way, the rest of the battle is relatively simple. We're also able to take Aerodactyl deep into the red on turn 1, so we don't take much damage at all from the Rock Slide. We take out the Charizard in one critical hit and all that's left is Dragonite. Our special attack combined with the Nevermelt Ice is enough to one-shot it, and we defeat Lance in 58 minutes and 45 seconds, and our final league time is 59 minutes and 3 seconds. Pidgeot is doing fantastically. The rest of this run is definitely not to be missed, so don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And we rejoin the action here in Vermilion City, where the first thing we do in Kanto is the last thing we do in Johto. We're going to get another rare candy, this time from the chairman of the Pokémon fan club. And with that safely tucked in our bag, we're going to make our way to our first Kantonian gym leader together. This one's Erica of Celadon Gym, and she leads with Tangela. Now, one thing to note here is that the splits have changed because I wasn't going to be doing Surge first, but I accidentally loaded the wrong set of splits, so please do forgive that. It's Janine second and Erica first in Kanto. And talking about the changing of routing, that brings me nicely onto what I want to talk about in today's Kanto section. A couple of runs ago in the Azumarill run, we spoke about the need for changing routing on the fly, especially after the disaster that we had at Lieutenant Surge, and I like to think I've absolutely learnt something from that routing, because instead of taking Surge on first, we're going to be taking him on last in this Kantonian section. He's absolutely the biggest threat we face in the entire Kanto part of the run, and we can face him even after Blue. And what that will mean is we will have the best possible chance at defeating him first try and getting through in a very, very good time. And while we're talking of good times, it is amazing how much pressure I put on myself when we earn one of those sub 1 hour leagues together. Quite often what I have to do is I have to take 5-10 minutes to gather my thoughts, really calm myself down because the adrenaline is flowing at that point, and focus on what we have to do to try and get the best time possible. Pidgeot got through the league in 4th place overall. It was the 4th quickest run we have ever done to this point in the run, and that, in and of itself, for a Pokemon that evolves twice, is a massive achievement. So I really have to focus and concentrate during this part of the run to make sure I don't make any unforced errors. And I would say over the last couple of years, I've definitely got better at handling the nerves and the pressure. Back when I first started these runs, if I got anything that was even close to getting under an hour and a half, I was going all over the place in the Kanto section. There were many runs where I made mistake after mistake after mistake in the Kanto section and threw away a potentially fantastic time. And so I needed to develop a technique to help me stop focusing on the time and start focusing on just winning these battles. So I've started covering up the timer if I get a Lance time of anything under 1 hour and 5 minutes, because that means we could easily get a top 10 finish, which is fantastic in and of itself, and the last thing we want is for me to start messing up in the silliest of places and throw that time away. And I'd recommend to any of you who've just started out challenge runs, don't focus on the timer. Especially if you're brand new, don't even bother timing your runs. The first few runs I didn't have a timer up because there was no need. I was still learning the game. Because even though you can watch somebody play it, it's a whole different beast when you're doing it for yourself, especially the first few times. So that would be my advice to any new runners that are thinking about creating the runs. And if you are thinking about creating the runs and you're hesitant, all I would say is go for it. It's some of the most fun I have ever had playing video games, and it's even better because I get to share it with all of you lovely, lovely people out there. And if you are creating runs, please do let me know. I'm always interested in finding new people here in the challenge run scene, and I'm always happy to give advice and tips where I can, and also take advice and tips where I can. But with that, let's now shift our focus back onto the task at hand. We're doing very well in the Kanto section so far, and we're rejoining at our final gym at Lieutenant Surge. Lieutenant Surge is of course an electric type leader who leads with Raichu. Raichu's a one-shot. Now this is the Pokemon I was worried about, but we get quite possibly the luckiest critical hit we'll ever get, and we dispose of Magneton in one. We get rid of the Electabuzz in one shot as well, and now we've just got 2 Electro to contend with. Number 1 goes down easily, number 2 goes down in much the same way, and we are through Surge in 1 hour, 12 minutes and 9 seconds. We are on record pace at the moment. Let's see how we get on at Red. It's now or never. We're going to start off by using Return. We'll see if it's enough to one-shot Pikachu, which it is. That means the super effective Pokemon of this battle is irrelevant. Blastoise, however, is very tanky, and Blizzard takes us down. We're not wasting any time here. We're going straight for 3 rare candies. We know Pikachu is irrelevant. We're just battling 5 Pokemon. We're back onto the Blastoise. Let's see how much we do. We're getting closer and closer to getting it in the yellow, and it's 2-shot range at level 68. We're going to see how Espeon is, and we take it deep into the red, but a Reflect comes up. That's going to slow us down against the Snorlax, and there's a very high chance he will paralyze us. That's what he does straight away, so in goes another 3 rare candies. We're now at level 71. Pikachu's still the same as before. It's absolutely meaningless. This is now a consistent 2-shot against the Blastoise. We can turn our attention to Pokemon number 3 and 4, the Espeon and the Snorlax. We're still not able to one-shot the Espeon, and we take a huge amount of damage from Psychic. Snorlax comes out, and instead of using Amnesia, it goes straight for the Body Slam. We're only on 60 HP for the Charizard. We use Return, but it's not enough, so we take another reset, use our final 4 rare candies, and then we don't hold back. We're at level 75 now. Pikachu is irrelevant, we've known that from the start. The same with the Blastoise. We critical hit, so we don't even get the Rain Dance text. We use Return against the Espeon, and we now knock it out in 1. Here comes the Snorlax. He's got a very high chance of using Amnesia, which is exactly what he does. It's 2 shots on the Snorlax, and the next Pokemon is Charizard. Return takes a huge amount of damage off Charizard. We don't get burnt by the Flamethrower, so the final Pokemon is Venusaur. It is all over for Red. He takes in the sunlight. We knock him out in 2 shots, and we defeat Red in 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 31 seconds. And that is our fastest ever time in any of these runs. It's no secret anymore. Pidgeot is the new head of the leaderboard. Let's get that leaderboard up in lights, and we can see our new leader in 1:15:31. That is 26 seconds ahead of Girafarig, and I am as surprised as the rest of you. I had no idea when I finished that run that we were going to get a 1:15:31. That pushes Charizard down into the page 1 drop zone, and heading up page 2 now we have Farfetch'd. So we've swapped 1 normal flying type at the bottom of page 1 for a normal flying type at the top of page 1. Heading up page 3 now is Ampharos with a 149.12, and still at the very bottom of page 3 is Shuckle with 349.20. But with that, we are done. So if you have enjoyed this run, please do remember to leave it a like. If you want to see more runs just like this, then click the subscribe button. Anything to say at all about Pidgeot's new victorious place on the leaderboard, leave it in the comments down below. And until next time when Gyarados runs the Pokemon Crystal Gauntlet, I'll say thank you all so much for watching. It's been a pleasure as always, and I'll see you all very, very soon.